Newest member of the North Carolina General Assembly. I guess it's not quite official yet because although he's been elected by the Pitt County Republican Party Executive Committee, and the paperwork has now been signed by Governor McCrory to appoint him. He has not been sworn in. He'll be sworn in on November 5th, but he's going to be a great representative in the legislature for Pitt County, my old friend Greg Murphy. Dr. Murphy, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How
Henry,
are you?
Thank you for having me.
Politics, huh?
Yep. Who would have thunk?
You know, let's don't assume that people know who you are. You have been in Greenville for a long time, and if you're a man, you've probably been to see Greg Murphy. You're a very famous urologist here in town, and probably the most successful urologist in the state of North Carolina. Give us more about your background. We know that that you've done some interesting things.
Well, I grew up in Raleigh. Went to undergraduate at Davidson College and then medical school at Chapel Hill. Did surgical training up in Kentucky, and then in '94 brought my beautiful wife here, and we have had 3 children and raised them here in town, and built a practice, and have learned to love Eastern North Carolina, Greenville, and look forward to serving the people of Pitt County. You have been very involved in different things over the years. I want to talk about your mission work in a minute, but before we do that, people may be interested to know that you're also on the Board of Trustees at Davidson College. I am. I'm actually the elected alumni president for all of the alumni for Davidson, which includes Stephen Curry. And so,
can you get me tickets?
My son has asked for signed autograph shoes from him, so we're working on that. In fact, we're having an alumni reception this weekend at our home. But it was a great institution to go to. I was very blessed to be able to attend there, and that's always remained near and dear to my heart. So I love Davidson, and have had a close relationship with them for a long, long time.
We'll talk about your mission and your politics and your agenda in a minute. But while we're talking about your background, you can't talk about your accomplishments and things that you've done for humankind without talking about things that you've done as a physician and going to areas of the world that needed help. And I think that was really highlighted years ago when we had the earthquakes in Haiti. Mm-hmm. And you actually not only went to Haiti to treat people and try to help with the people who were injured down there, but you ended up on NBC News with Brian Williams about 3 nights in a row. You kind of became the go-to guy in terms of the media down there learning what was going on. And I think the mission, the message that you sent back here was how bad it was and how much help was needed down there.
You're right, Henry. I've been blessed to be able to travel around the world and help people and serve people. Actually started years ago when I went to India, at Davidson, and so I've tried to continue that. But when the earthquake hit, it really it hit me personally, really, and working to try to get down there through. Really, the grace of God, I ended up down in Port-au-Prince. We had a nice cadre of about 15 physicians here that went down 2 weeks afterwards. And I've worked in lots of different places in the world: Nairobi, India, Calcutta, and I go to Nicaragua. But post-earthquake Haiti was by far the worst place I'd ever seen. And my wife and I have continued to go down there once or twice a year, and it's still a very desperate situation.
I was going to say, you not only went right after the earthquake, but you have continued to go to Haiti and help.
For sure. I mean, there's a need there, and my life hopefully has been one of service, and I want to continue that. And that's really one of the reasons that I am doing this job.
All right, let's talk about this. You will now represent Pitt County, District 9, in the North Carolina House of Representatives. Have you always had an interest in politics?
In politics? Never. I was my high school class president at Broughton in Raleigh, and since then I haven't had any political aspirations, and I still don't. I was sought out to consider a political aspiration about a year ago, and through a lot of conversations with my wife, thought and prayer, this has landed in my ability to do this, and so I look forward to serving in that regard.
Now, what was your wife's reaction when you came to her and said, "I'm thinking about a run for the legislature"?
I can't say that on the air. That's not really true.
Should we get the 8-second delay ready?
That's not true. We both had a lot of concerns about it because I have a very busy life, and it was a beginning of a discussion. It was a beginning of a discussion with each other, with our family, and with our God. And this is where we both have felt now that I've been led to do.
So you'll take over for Brian Brown, and Brian, as you know, has been a tireless fighter for ECU and the School of Medicine. And of course, no one knows more than you the needs of Eastern North Carolina in terms of what the population needs here medically, and the problems that exist with healthcare in Eastern North Carolina. Is that your main focus?
No, Henry. I mean, I'm blessed that I have an area of expertise that I'll be able to carry to the legislature in the medical field. But just as we have, citizen legislatures such as farmers or accountants or whatever, everybody brings an area of expertise to that body, and I will bring that in the area of medicine. But I go there to serve all the needs of all of our people. And so while it will be helpful to help deal with some of the issues that face the legislature, Medicaid expansion and dealing with Medicaid reform, that by no means will be my focus. My focus will be serving the needs of Pitt County, East Carolina University, and all the things that my constituency needs.
I believe I'm right about that. I think you'll be the only physician in the legislature.
Correct.
Is that right? There's some optometrists, which are physicians, but are they considered?
They're not physicians. They're I'm not even sure quite how to
eye
describe
doctors.
It. They're eye doctors. They're not physicians. They're not
right.
MDs.
I know there's a dentist. I know there's at least one dentist.
Correct.
That I met. He was here years ago when we had the Give Kids a Smile Day. His name escapes me, but you will bring a different perspective to this discussion about Medicaid expansion, about Medicaid reform, and man, have they struggled with that. I mean, the governor has said repeatedly that Medicaid is the number one problem in the state of North Carolina in terms of financing the budget.
Well, it is. It's a massive expenditure, and we have to get it right. It is not an easy solution. We have burgeoning Medicaid rolls. We have burgeoning needs of lower income people, and we have to find somehow to balance those needs, to take care of the people that we need to, but also to be good stewards of our tax money. Mm-hmm. And so, it's going to be a balancing act. And I think it will be helpful in this one particular regard to have somebody who has boots on the ground. I see people every day. It's what I do, and listen and talk to them about what their needs are. And in one specific field, there are medical needs. And so it will be a challenge. It will be a challenge. The framework has not been made out. It's just been decided that a pathway will be set forth, but the next 3 years there will be a lot of work that needs to be done to try to put bricks and mortar into the true plan of how to reform Medicaid.
Has the leadership of the House reached out to you? Have you talked to Speaker of the House Tim Moore?
I have. Yeah. They've been very gracious and very helpful. Speaker Moore has contacted me. Senator Pate has contacted me. They've been very gracious and very welcoming. Susan Martin has also contacted me. Brian Brown's been great. We look forward to helping, under his leadership, helping me with a transition. And so I've been very, very pleased with how well I've been accepted.
The Brody School of Medicine funding, of course, has been one of the great accomplishments that Brian has achieved. There are so many problems, again, back to the problems with healthcare in Eastern North Carolina, Medicaid expansion, lack of Medicaid, lack of insurance, people who are very sick in Eastern North Carolina. And the Brody School of Medicine has been the point for a lot of these folks to get medical care. And it's been a little bit of a struggle in the legislature. A lot of folks don't get that, and they see the model of the Brody School of Medicine, and they wonder why it's not like the model of UNC Chapel Hill. Right. Which the reality of it is, it was never meant to be. It was never formulated to be like the medical school in Chapel Hill, and it has its own unique challenges. So Brian worked overtime trying to get that message over to folks in the House and the Senate. Do you see your role as a physician as a benefit when you're in there trying to explain this to folks?
Sure, sure. I mean, I intend fully to continue Brian's good work. This is where I have spent the last 20 years. This is where my education has been. It's my expertise. It's my experience. And so to be able to bring that and translate it to some of the folks in Raleigh who don't have the understanding, I mean, there are plenty of topics that I won't have understanding with that I'll have to rely on their expertise. And so to bring that forward to Raleigh, I think will be helpful for Eastern North Carolina, for Pitt County, for all our constituents. I mean, this is not by any means a one-dimensional personality here. This is not all that I'm going to do, but I'm going to bring that area of expertise and use that experience as best I can.
Greg Murphy, the new representative, soon-to-be new representative. Do we call you representative yet? I've
been sworn in. I mean, I've been signed off, but not sworn in.
He's on the site.
So it is? McGee says you're on the House of Representatives site, so I'm calling you Representative Greg Murphy.
All right. Well,
Representative Greg Murphy. What else is on your agenda? What do you carry to the legislature in terms of a desire to make a difference in what you want to see happen?
Well, Henry, this all happens, honestly, so very quickly. I don't have a particular agenda. I would like to, over the next couple months, to have some listening sessions where I'll go out into the community and listen to what people's needs are, let them get a little bit more familiar with who I am, what I hopefully can bring forward. But I just have an agenda to try to keep our taxes low, try to keep our government less, and try to espouse that we have personal liberty and personal responsibility. Those are the tenets of what I would like to base my actions upon in the future.
And you will have to run next year.
I will.
This is a one, and you do intend to run.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So you could have a primary.
It looks like I will.
Looks like you're going to have a primary in March, and then you'll have to, if you win the primary, you'll have to go on to the November general election. So all of a sudden, you're going to learn about campaigns and campaigning and things like that. How do you do that and continue to run your medical practice?
Balancing act.
Very carefully.
Yeah, I will. I have a commitment to my patients. I'm not going to let that down.
I didn't ask you that from the outset, but for people who are your patients that you haven't gotten to yet, you are going to continue your.
I am, and I've been asked that 1,000 times already. I think this is why God put me on the earth, to be a physician, but now I have a different calling also, and I balanced it when I was chief of staff at the hospital, and I'll continue to balance it here. I don't have too many hobbies, so I keep working.
Greg Murphy, Representative Greg Murphy, the newest member of the General Assembly. What else is on your mind this morning? I'm out of questions, but I feel like I haven't dug deep enough with you. What else?
I think some people may have a little bit of a uncomfortability with a physician think that I'm being, somewhat of a different person, that I'm not down in the trenches. But the opposite of that is true. I have been down in the trenches. I mean, as my mission works kind of proves that. I'm here to serve all the people. I'm not here just to do medical work. I'm here to serve East Carolina University. I'm a big proponent of higher education, and I'm here to serve the needs of what my constituents are. And that's, I'm going to try to find those out. This has been, as I said, a very quick process. I'm meeting with several different people. I'm meeting with the chancellor, and I look forward to listening and finding out what their needs and expectations and how best I can serve.
Do you see any? One of the questions that continues to come up is how to diversify the economy of Eastern North Carolina. How do we? It seems like Eastern North Carolina has never really replaced the dynamic agricultural economy that we had. Agriculture still is the number one industry in the state, but we've lost a lot of jobs in agriculture, and healthcare has been the number one thing that's kind of replaced those jobs. I mean,
correct.
Do we need to diversify that?
Undoubtedly, we need to diversify. That's how you survive.
Yeah.
We cannot be totally reliant on just healthcare, and we can't be totally reliant on just the university here. We need textile jobs. We need all those type of things that give a substrate, give a balance to our community. We can't all just be service jobs, and so we have to have people that, we have some great manufacturing plants. We need to grow those.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to working with you during the upcoming months and hopefully years. You'll have an interesting indoctrination. It'll be something new.
Yeah, I've gotten a pretty decent education so far from different, some good, some not as good, but I look forward to it. Going in there with eyes wide open, and
yeah. Well, I think you're going to do great.
I appreciate your support.
Very happy that you have been chosen to do this, and looking forward to your first year in the legislature.
Yeah, I am too. I really am.
So you'll be hearing more from Greg Murphy. Thank you for coming in, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you,
Thank
Greg
you.
Murphy.